We're here with Brad Meltzer, whose book, The Inner Circle, I think it's on the New York Times bestseller list somewhere. Where is it on the list?
You know, it's #1, but my dad bought a crap load of copies. That's true. You think I'm joking. But the best part is you think I'm joking right now.
So your dad put you on the top of the list.
My dad goes into every Barnes & Noble in America and goes, yes, I'm here for my favorite author's book. It's Brad Meltzer. And they're like, Mr. Meltzer, we know he's your son. We know. We got it. We understand. We got it.
Well, the book's great. Can you tell me about the construction of it? I'm always curious. Do you start with the mystery? Do you start with the character? Where do you start with this one?
You know, for me, I start always with I have a plot brain, so there's always a plot. And I knew with this one that I was going to do George Washington's secret spy ring, the spy ring that George Washington used to have, and what would happen if it existed today. And so the plot's simple, but you know, you have an archivist from the National Archives who finds out that George Washington's spy ring still exists, doesn't know who they work for, but the greatest secret of the presidency is about to be revealed. Okay, fine for high concept plot.
Yeah.
But the best plot of all is good character. And so I will spend 6 months trying to crack these characters and figure them out, and while I'm researching also, but that's where the whole book comes together. And so the plot is like the clothesline, but the clothes are the character themselves.
Yeah. And now the great thing about, I think, all your books is even if the idea might be a big idea, it's totally plausible. Like you could totally see this happening.
You know, I have one rule in that, you know, I don't do, you know, axes in people's heads and ridiculous violence. That's just gratuitous to me. To me, the scariest story is a story that can really happen.
Yeah.
And that's what I always try to go for.
Yeah, and your main character is somebody that we relate to. Is that kind of the key to bringing the reader into this world?
You know, it's funny. Beecher is my first book I ever wrote in the 10th Justice. He was very much like me, the character, but because unintentionally. I just was just pure instinct. I was excited to write. I threw everything out there, and of course it was me because that's all I had to throw. Beecher is probably more like me than any character I've ever written, but on purpose. And I feel like I'm, for the first time, getting more comfortable with putting myself out there. And you know, Beecher is scared, and he's strong, and he's terrified, and he's brave, and he's, you know, he can be lots of things. And so I think he's that much more fleshed out, and you know, has my own highs and lows in him as well.
Yeah. And how do you go about, you know, there's lots of red herrings, and you really get to the point where you don't trust anybody. But is there a line you can't cross because then it becomes too much of that, or is there never enough of that?
Yeah, you know, I think eventually it becomes ridiculous. You know, if every person in the plot is also secretly working on everything, then it becomes a joke. And it's the Supreme Court definition of pornography, which is, you know, when you see it, and you just have to trust your gut and say that's too much, that's not enough, and see where we go.
Okay. And do you know, we talked about the New York Times bestseller list. Is that something that you pay attention to, just like in TV, you pay attention to ratings? And we're going to talk about your show in just a second.
Yeah, you know, it shouldn't matter that a book is #1, right? But it matters to the publisher because at the end of the year they get to say we had X amount of #1s, and it matters to them because, you know, it's nice to say that. So I wish, you know, all that should really matter is it a good book? But we all know that they're judging it by many things beyond just the quality of it.
Yeah. And how about critics? Do you read your critics?
You know, I actually do read the reviews.
Okay.
I think there are really good critics out there, and I think there are bad critics out there. I think there are critics who make really valid points, and that is what's wrong, and that is what's good, and that is what's bad. And then I think there are some that have become just more personal, and I really just try and pull out what's good. I mean, that's the only way you get better as a writer is by someone telling you what you can do better.
Yeah, and so, of course, even though the book's just come out, what's next in the literary world?
For me, I'm working on the next novel. I'll follow up to The Inner Circle. Okay. And the first time I'm ever going to write a series character, so Beecher and that crew will be back. Okay. And I'm just interested. I don't know if I can pull it off, but I'm going to try.
Okay. And, of course, it's so hard, and with any big book these days, you think movie. Anything in your head as far as that?
No,
or
I don't. That to me is icing on an already great cake. Okay. You know, that I don't even get. You know, I think it was Hemingway or somebody said the way you should deal with Hollywood is you take the book over to the Nevada border and then you say, "I'll throw you the book, you throw me the money." And I've tried that. It just doesn't work as well as it did for Hemingway.
I like that. So let's talk about Decoded.
Sure.
This finale's next week.
2 more episodes. Yeah, finale is not this coming week, but next week is the big ending.
Okay, and I know ratings have been good. So you know, any word on the second season?
You know, I have no idea. They will tell us after I think all the shows have aired. Okay. But obviously, we're really excited by the response that we've got, and I don't think anyone expected we were going to get this kind of response. So. You know, I can't decode that one. That one is just too hard.
And let's say you do get a second season pickup. Do you already have like a slew of mysteries you want to dive into right away? I
mean, I had 2 dozen before we started season 1, and it was just a matter of picking 10. So, you know, the nice part is his history is complicated.
Okay, all right, and I want to talk to you about Buffy because you know you're big in the comic books, and now there's talk about the movie, but no Joss, no SMG. Can it be done?
Listen, it's gonna be done. The question is how pissed is everyone gonna be? And I think that if they go for trying to do Buffy as they did Buffy without Joss, it shouldn't be. But I actually have a striking feeling that what they're, I guess, going for is just trying. They don't care about us and the Joss crowd. I think what they care about is the Twilight crowd. I don't know that for a fact, but I mean, look at the Twilight numbers and the vampire fever, and I think that, you know, God knows what it'll be, but, you know, I of course would rather Joss do it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't in that camp, because if they try and be faithful to the series, they're going to fail because it's not Joss.
As long as Joss isn't there, they can't win. So,
and if they go too far from that, people are going to hate it too. So, okay, just wanted to get your thoughts on that. All right, well, so great to talk to you, Brad, and good luck with the book. Oh, one last thing, Jack and Bobby DVD, anything?
Jack and Bobby DVD, you know, write Warner Brothers. It's up to them.
Okay.
They put them on. They're on demand right now. They're on their website, but I'd love a DVD collection too.
Yeah, we need commentary with you and Greg, and we can make. Okay, let me see what I can do. See what I can make it happen. All right, thanks, Brad.